Hi guys, it's Coach Joe Micela. I get asked a lot, when should you compete in your first weightlifting competition? And for me, it depends on a couple different things, okay? One is your time training with me. Have you completed and understood our progressions of how to learn how to do the snatch and how to learn to do the clean and jerk? So that's ground one, okay? Rule number one. Are you proficient in the movements? Are you proficient in the understanding of the technique? Then the next thing would be, all right, are you moving any type of significant weight? Okay? And with each weight class, age division, and experience level, I would set those numbers for that particular athlete. For example, we have an athlete, he's 35 years old. He used to train with us a long time ago, and he's had about a 3 to 4 year break, and now he's coming back. And he's working himself back up. Now we say, hey, he's gonna go back to his old numbers, but we said, hey, you're about an 89 kilo lifter. Locally, you should be able to at least get to about 90 kilos snatch and about a 120 clean and jerk first. And he's not there just yet. But when he does, then that'd be a significant amount of progress for him to now go compete. Somebody else, it may be a young kid or a girl, it may be a 40 kilo snatch, maybe a 50 kilo clean and jerk. It's all gonna be relative to them, what they can do. We don't want them to be, hey, I just hit my first PR ever from the floor at 30, next week's a competition, let's get into it. No, you want to have on average 3 to 4 months of training under their belt, getting them to be familiar with the movements, and they've now attempted from the floor lifts, snatch and clean and jerk multiple times, and then also within the same workout, snatch and clean and jerk in the same workout. Again, if they're very new to it, they never did it before, that may be 4 months into it, 3 months into it. If someone who's a little bit more experienced and now they're just refining certain things, it could be a little bit less period of time, okay? But it's gonna be individualized to you, but I would not rush them into it. When you go to when's your first national competition, I want them to compete at least 3 times to 4 times locally before they even reach that point, even if they've had the total after their first meet. Why? They need to have that experience because it's very important. Other thing that we look for, we don't let them cut weight their first competition, especially if it's a kid, it's a girl. We don't want that to be an extra pressure, extra headache that they have to worry about. Now, they're within a pound or 2, no big deal, just make sure you watch what you're eating. But if they're 4 pounds overweight, 5 pounds overweight, just go to have a good experience. Another thing that we look for when they're entering their first competition, we want them to hit at least 4 out of the 6 weights, or excuse me, attempt at least 4 out of the 6 weights that are weights that they've done before in training. I don't want it to be like, hey, you've only hit 30 kilos in the snatch one time, we're gonna open with that. Or we're gonna open with 35 and say, hey, we're just gonna like, hope to God something happens, it's awesome, okay? I don't take that kind of approach. I wanna build off confidence. If your first experience when you go up to play football is that you're a quarterback and you get sacked every time the ball is snapped, you know, the first couple of games, you're gonna be a little apprehensive. You're getting crushed to the ground every time. You're going out to wrestle, and it's your very first time, and you get thrown to your back and in 30 seconds get pinned, and then your nose winds up over here on the other guy's your face. It's not a good experience that you wanna have. You wanna build off that. Now, not every time you can control that, but in weightlifting we can, okay? We can control that. I also wanna build that hunger in that athlete to say, hey, coach, I think I got more in me. Good, that's all right, we're gonna save that for next time. Maybe that last attempt snatch, maybe that last attempt clean and jerk, you give them a little bit more of a nibble, maybe a weight they never tried before, but only maybe 3, maximum 5 kilos, okay? You don't get crazy with them, okay? You want it to be a positive experience. You wanna leave a little bit out there that they know that, hey, I probably could have did a little bit more. Plus, you're also seeing how they react to the stress. Competing and training are different. How they handle the stress of the warm-up, how they handle the stress of competing. We've had a couple athletes, they were high Division I level athletes. When now they get into the sport of Olympic weightlifting, they get really nervous. Why? Because they play a sport where all the fans are on the sidelines here. Now in weightlifting, all the fans are in front of them. We had one guy that was an accomplished musician. And I said, hey, you're used to being on stage and performing in front of a lot of people. He's like, yeah, but the room was dark. I couldn't really see their faces. The lights are on here, and now I'm freaking out looking at all these people. Okay, so you don't know how that is. We've had people that are really strong in the gym. They get into a competition, they shit the bed, okay? And that's not good. We've also had people that do really subpar in training, and then they show up and they ball. They lift more, or they have just a dialed-in mentality when it comes to competition. We're like, where did this person come from? You know, this is what we want. They have this switch, but we don't know that. But we want to be able to harness that. We want to take notes on that. So again, in your first competition, both the coach is learning a lot about you. You're learning a lot about the coach. I always tell my athletes, if you see me freak out, you freak out. I don't freak out, okay? I have the same demeanor when we're warming up, when we're competing. I'm always got their back. I'm going to protect them. I'm going to put them in the best possible situation. But I'm not going to run around in the back like a chicken with his head cut off, not knowing what the frig's going on. I'm watching them. I'm watching their competitors. I'm watching everything, whether it be their first competition or their 50th. So again, for that first competition, don't cut. Have fun. Don't attempt weights that are exceeding what you've already done multiple times. We actually have a nice little rule that we say your opening attempt should never be a weight that you haven't been able to do 15 times in the last 4 to 8 weeks of your training cycle going into that competition. Then you know it's a gimme. You know it's a guarantee. There's nothing more disappointing for a coach when you see that athlete miss their opener. It just changes the dynamics of the competition. It changes what you want to do strategically if they miss. When they make, okay, now we're on the board and it puts us in a driver's seat. So it's very important that that first weight is a weight that you know with your eyes closed, upside down, backwards, on your worst day, you're going to make, okay, because it's automatic. I'm not saying then make it so light that it's completely ridiculous, but you got to make sure that you've trained at a percentage high enough, frequent enough, going into that competition that you know that weight is money. If you want exact percentages, it should be, again, within that 90% range. We train at higher percentages, especially leading more into a competition phase of training than other people. But you know what? My guys and girls miss less opening attempts than most other people. And then it puts us in a driver's seat. We have a very high percentage of successful lifts made both in competition. And it's not by happenstance. We have very good technique and we take an approach this way in our training and in our competitions, how we approach competitions. The more you get used to that, you build on things, okay? You build on those local competitions, your demeanor, your attitude, how we approach those warm-up attempts so that when the big meets come up, you have experience. So even when you're at a national meet, I've had athletes say, hey, this national meet is to prepare you for this world meet. This world meet is to prepare you for a world meet in 2 years when you're going to be more competitive. This World Championships is going to prepare you for the Olympics when we're going to need it the most and you're going to have 10,000 people staring at you. You're going to have 1 million freaking people on TV. You're going to have a camera in your face every 5 freaking seconds. But then we use those reference points, those experiences. And unfortunately, some people don't recognize that. But that's where I come in. That's where the coach comes in. That we make you realize, hey, this is going to be done here. This is going to set you up for down the road here. This experience here is going to set you up for that experience there. Okay, so then when you get to those higher levels of experience, you're not like completely in awe. You're not, starstruck at the moment. I, as the coach, has prepared you for that. I've showed you that what's going to happen. Now you go and experience it, and then we talk about it. And then we adjust. We reflect upon it. Those are key concepts, and it all starts with that very first competition. In that very first competition, you are showing the athlete how their demeanor should be. If they're constantly goofing off in the background like they're going to fucking Chuck E. Cheese or some shit like that, that's a problem. That's not the athlete I want. Now, I want them so serious that they're throwing up 5 times in the bathroom either? No. But we want to have this air of confidence, assertiveness, this air of seriousness when they're doing this. I'm not doing this for my health. I'm doing this because I want to win. Just as much as they want to do well, I want to win too, even if it's a local competition. Okay? Because they are what? A reflection of me. They're a reflection of my technique. They're a reflection of my programming. They're a reflection of my training. So I want them to do very well. You want recreation, go someplace else. That's not what I'm about. I'm here to make you and push you to a level that you have not reached before. Not everybody can handle that. I'm going to take my fist. I'm going to push you very, very hard with a work capacity and a mindset. But in the end, you're going to get those results. Okay? Again, it starts with that very first competition, but we take it easy. I don't put the pressure on them like it is the Olympics, but I use it as a stepping stone. And then each step, that pressure and that intensity increases. But they're now more prepared for it. We've talked about it. They've experienced it. We've pointed out the pitfalls, and they've gotten better and better and better for that. Part of competing is also having a higher standard of your technique. I think we've talked about it before about I will not let an athlete compete both at a local level, but even at a national level, if they have not been proficient in my standards of lifting. In talking with many foreign coaches from the Soviet Union, the former Soviet Union, our former national coach who was from Poland, when they came to our youth national competitions, they were in shock in 2 different ways. Shocked that they got 800-something kids to show up for a weightlifting competition. They're like, this is awesome. Then they saw the lifting, and they were like, this is bullshit. They said 80% of these kids technically shouldn't be here, that their coaches should be reprimanded for letting a kid come to a competition that was not prepared. You never blame the kid. you got to blame the person that prepared them. It's one thing to have a little deviation technically, but when you see gross negligence of technique, that's a bad thing. We try to have a higher standard of expectation of that technique. And I've literally have told, actually on just recently, I told 2 different athletes, you're not ready yet. There's nothing wrong with saying that to somebody, that you are not ready yet, that your technique is not at a point that's good, or you're just not lifting at a total that's competitive. Okay? If you're in an F session of a national competition, I'm sorry, you're not ready. Okay, to go and spend $1,000+ to get there to lift in an F session. You know, you're not ready. Okay, there's no shame in saying get better. Now, I will tell you that F session to that D session or even that B session may be the difference of 20 kilos or 30 kilos. Well, work your ass off a little bit more to get up there. It's not worth it, okay? You're going there, again, you're not. Again, I don't care if you're recreational. Again, you're not, for me, if you're completely recreational. But hold yourself to a higher standard. Coaches, hold your athletes to a higher standard. Let them work on their craft. You see it too many times in youth sports. We see it here in Arizona. I know it happens elsewhere nationally. Oh, you've practiced the sport you've never done for like 2 weeks. Let's start competing by week 3. And then you go out there and you're like, oh my God, this looks like dog shit. Okay? They don't even know what they're doing. Teach them fundamentals. Georgi Gardad was a Bulgarian weightlifter, 85-kilo lifter. At one point, he was an Italian national coach, and I remember talking to him at the Worlds in 2009 in Korea. We were talking about technique, and I commended him because he had phenomenal technique, especially in the snatch. He was very known for his snatch. And he was telling me he was a young kid in Bulgaria that he first started weightlifting. He was around 9, 10 years old. He said his coach, for almost the first year, other than doing general physical preparation work, he said when it came to technical work, he wasn't allowed to put any weight on the bar. He was just told that he had to lift the bar. And he did drill after drill after drill. Now, granted, he's 10 years old. But he said he just drilled and drilled and drilled for over a year just with the bar. Now, he did some weight when he squatted. He did some jumps. He did some pull-ups. He did some other stuff. When it came to technical work, he was just drilling. And he didn't compete because he was like, I want to make sure that when you have this and you're ready, when you hit 12, 13, 14 years old, and now you're going through puberty, then we're able to load you now with more resistance. You don't have to worry about fine-tuning your technique. You just go. Being a high-level world and Olympic placer, but his technique was phenomenal. So he didn't have to worry about, hey, I'm always going to have to worry about this, this, and this, and this, and always refining his technique. No, he just could now say, put more weight on the bar, okay? And go and go and go and go. Those are huge. And I can't remember what year it was. USA Weightlifting tried to do this, and they only did it 1 year, and they handled it completely wrong because they're ass backwards in 90% of what they do. We did a technical review on a kid's lift. So we gave technical criteria points while the kids was lifting. So they had 3 referees that judged the lift based off of the rules of weightlifting. And then they had myself, and I was partnered with another coach, and we gave a technical critique on a grading system. So even if the kid made the lift, we would critique the technique of the lift. And then we would give out an award of that session that said, hey, you earned so many points. You were considered not only, you may have taken second, but you were considered technically more sound than the kid that beat you. Okay, now, he didn't get he didn't beat the kid overall, but it was to reward the kid on sound principles of technique. And in other countries with younger kids, they would do that all the time. Now, I know it can be hard here, okay, to do something like that. Then you can be subjective to a coach or some type of judge. But in essence, it's forcing these coaches, it's forcing the athletes to learn the technique better. It's only going to help them in the long run. From youth to junior is a huge drop-off in our sport. And from juniors to seniors is another huge drop-off, okay? But a lot of that, too, is that they just can't keep up. A lot of it is that they're not taught technically the right way. They're not loaded the right way. They're not programmed the right way. And then these kids are not making the progress. So then they drop off. Maybe they find another sport, this or that and the other thing. But if they stayed with the sport a little bit more and learned it the right way and made progress more efficiently, maybe they would have stuck around a little bit more. Or we would have more higher quality kids to pick from as they moved up into that next stage. But we don't see that, okay? But I would probably say about 80% of the kids that go to youth nationals right now shouldn't be there technically. They need to be settled back. Last little story, we had a dad reached out to me many years ago from Colorado. I was running our state meet. It was the last trans qualifier for youth nationals. Dad's like, hey, you're the only one in the area that's having this. I want to send my kid down there. I said, how old's your kid? He's like 11. He wants to go to youth nationals. He needs to qualify. I said, you know what? I don't know about this. Send me a video of what your kid looks like lifting. Sends me the video. The kid was complete dog shit. I send him an email back. I said, your son's not, I'm not going to let him in the competition. Your son has to worry less about competing at the youth nationals, because some parents and coaches just want to have this badge of honor. Said they put 15 kids at youth nationals. They look horrible. I said, stay back in Colorado. I said, work on your technique with your son. I hope he has a good career, but he needs to work on this, and this. Okay, he's not ready yet. He's 11. Take that time, okay, develop a foundation and a base. Some people don't want to be that guy that tells them that. Guess what? I'm that guy. I'm going to tell you it's not right. I'm going to tell you to your face, this is dog shit, okay? But I'm going to give you the reason why, okay? But in the end, you may not like me because I'm blunt. I'm from Jersey. But it's the truth, okay? And then that's going to help you in the long run. It's going to help that athlete in the long run. I just had somebody else the other day say, you know what? You come across very abrasive. And I said, thank you very much, okay? They said, but you told me exactly what I needed to hear, and you didn't sugarcoat it. I said, I was not trying to be mean to you. I was just trying to tell you how it is and what the things you need to work on. I don't say shit just for saying shit. I will give them a reason why. I'm a big why guy. I want to know why, and you break it down. I will tell you why, and I'll tell you that. The reasons, the expectations, and how to fix it. Okay, I'm not just going to just complain or just shoot shit for shooting shit at you. I will give you that reason so that when you do improve, you're going to be better for it. Okay, and that's what we want to do. We want to do that with the young kids. Now, full disclosure, I don't curse like this all the time around little kids. I want them to know that Coach Joe's real, and I'm going to protect them, but I'm also going to make sure they learn this the right way. I've been doing this almost 25 years. We have a very high success rate, especially with younger kids, boys and girls, when they learn it the right way, and it sticks with them. We've had people that have taken years off and they've come back. We had in our open house a couple weeks ago, we had a couple brothers that haven't been lifting in multiple years. They came back, and it was like nothing. You know, they came back and their technique was still solid because we spent 4 or 5 years with them when they were younger, when they were in high school, training them day in and day out on that technique, so that even though they went away for 3 or 4 years, they came back, it was ingrained in them, okay? And that's what we want. We want to be that foundation, so don't rush that. Don't rush that technique. Make sure it's solid. Don't rush them into a competition they're not ready for, okay? Make sure they're ready. They're going to have more success. Okay, again, and it's a badge of honor for you as a coach. You want to be known as the coach that the kid's technique stinks, or you're going to be known as the coach, wow, those kids are really technically sound. There's a distinct difference between your kids and everybody else's kids. Okay, I want to be that guy that gets that compliment. I want our parents of the kids that we train to get that compliment, like, wow, those are Performance 1 kids. They just look different from everybody else. They're not jumping 7 feet out in front of them. They're not running around the platform like this with a bar. Not only they're lifting heavier weights, but they're like, wow, they look effortless. That's what I want, okay? So when they take that next stage, they take that next jump, okay, they're better prepared for it. Any more questions, reach out. Leave us a comment in the box.